KUAM News headlines are presented by Calvo's Insurance, protecting Micronesia for 85 years. Matson and the Adahi Itano program. Apply at matson.com. Cars Plus, Guam's automotive leader in sustainability and electric vehicles. Learn more at carsplusguam.com. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Ahead on KUAM News Primetime. A second public school student is taken into custody. Authorities allege the teen threatened gun violence at GW High.
Plus, a major milestone for the Guam Department of Education. The superintendent and Adelup getting the call they've been waiting for, finding out millions in federal funds will be going towards student programs.
Hafide Tomas Manglonia here, continuing our coverage in Japan, this time focused on disaster preparedness. We're in Hitoyoshi City learning about innovative ways to warn the community of floods and storms.
Hafide and good evening. Welcome to KUAM News Primetime. I'm Nick Delgado.
And I'm Destiny Cruz. Happy Fresco Friday. Thank you so much for ending your week here with us as we celebrate Think Pink Day, this Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Well, we lead off with an update to the ongoing threats unfolding online at George Washington High. A 15-year-old girl taken into police custody in connection to the alleged threats.
This all surfacing from social media posts that claimed a shooting would occur at the Manilao campus today. Authorities have been investigating, and the Guam Department of Education has implemented strict safety measures in response to include a ban on school bags at the Manilao campus. The teen is arrested on suspicion of terroristic conduct, terrorizing, and obstruction of governmental functions. She is being held at the Department of Youth Affairs. Now, Guam police say the threat was published on a social media account, which was shortly after seen by a witness who screenshot the post and used it to notify school personnel in fear of danger of students and staff. Today, GDOE announced they would be extending the security measures at the home of the Geckos through next Friday, October 27th. School resource officers and police are stationed at the school. Well, some major news announced on the front lawn of Adelup this morning during the proclamation signing declaring Head Start Month. Here's Acting Governor Josh Tenorio with that announcement.
I want to congratulate all of you for a job well done, and I have such an exciting announcement for all of you. The Superintendent of Education and I just got off the phone with the Secretary of Education in the United States Department of Education, Secretary Miguel Cardona. He called us to tell us that as of today, the third party fiduciary in charge of federal funds is no longer, it has ended. Guam Department of Education is now in the driver's seat, and they are able to do all of their programs without the third party involved, which means that's more money that goes into federal programs to go back into the school system. That's what this decision was made. And the reason the hardworking employees of the Guam Department of Education, and in particular, Dr. Swanson, I want to recognize, I know that Franklin Coupeners played a key role, along with their staff, but in particular playing a key role proving to the U.S. Department of Education of the excellence that we know the Guam Department of Education has. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, be my Head Start.
As KUAM reported, Alvarez Marshall Public Sector Services LLC has been GDOE's third-party fiduciary agent since 2009. The feds designated GDOE as a high-risk grantee in September of 2003 because of poor management and spending of federal dollars. In response to today's news, Education Oversight Chair Senator Chris Barnett says it's great to get the official word from USDOE about the lifting of the third-party fiduciary. This news was relayed to me in high-level meetings with USDOE and GDOE in September, so it's good to see the hard work of GDOE come to fruition. The real good news, he says, is that this frees up more money for pressing education needs. I hope the new management at GDOE does their best to ensure this never happens again. The lines over where the next public hospital should be built were clearly drawn last night between the administration and some members of the medical community.
The governor wants it on Crown lands in Barragata, and the doctors say the old GMH site at Ipao Point makes much more sense. Nestor Lecanto breaks it down.
Would you like to add to that?
If we build it, they must come. That's the critical issue facing local leaders who are deciding not if we need a new hospital, but where it will be located. Representing the administration at an oversight hearing on the feasibility of Ipoh Point was acting CLTC Director John Birch, a late substitute for the recently retired Alice Tyron. He says members of the previous 36th legislature already seem to rule out that location as too small, as senators and the governor unanimously decided that Guam should build a state-of-the-art medical campus to house all healthcare agencies.
The healthcare center would position Guam as the regional healthcare hub of Micronesia, fostering opportunities for medical training, tourism, and enhanced medical professional services throughout the entire region. Aside from the pandemic, which further underscored the need for improved healthcare facilities, there are no apparent reasons to deviate from the initial intent of the 36th Guam legislature.
But Dr. Jonathan Thorpe of the SDA Clinic says Guam doesn't need such a massive medical campus. The new hospital, he says, could easily be built at Ipoh Point, and the current location could continue to house behavioral health and more.
We have a good facility there. There's room for expansion there. Why do we need to expand it out? The adjacent nature of the behavioral health to either the Ipoh Point or the existing facility is not too far to transport a patient. On that point, I would make the point that you have the existing Guam Memorial Hospital facility that would not necessarily need to be completely condemned, but would work very well for a public health facility and a CDC operated lab. So again, why are we spending limited dollars that eventually have to come out of our pockets as taxpayers to build this massive campus where we're replicating and duplicating buildings and structures that we already have in point?
Also supporting Ipoh Point was Dr. Thomas Shea. 90% of current medical clinics are within 10 minutes of Tamuning, and Shea says that proximity to the hospital saves lives. He quotes the administration's own report by consultant Matrix, which he says favors Ipoh Point by a wide margin.
Look at 0 to 10 minutes. You got almost 36,000 population of patients that have direct access within 10 minutes. If you have a heart attack, you're in labor, you're bleeding, trauma, you're going to need access. You got 36,000 in that population there. Now, even when you go 20 minutes, Ipoh Point is still higher. Next slide. When you look at this next one, this is talking about Adalca, which is what Guadalupe is focusing on. And they're saying we're going to build this out there because it's better for patient access. No, it's not, according to that $6 million study. Read it. 10 minutes. It's only 13,000 people that's accessible at 8% of the population.
With the pros and cons of Ipoh Point now laid out, another hearing is scheduled for November 1st, this one on the governor's choice of Crown Land in Barrigada. Nestor Lecanto, KUAM News.
Thanks, Ness. We'll be right back.
Half a Day Fresco Fridays on KUAM News. Presented by Fresco Clothing, original custom design apparel of Guam and the Marianas. Located in Hagåtña, just across from the Gani Shopping Center.
Hi, folks. Robert Quigley here, America's Independent, Washington, D.C., run the road to the White House. Today, what is Quigley's road to victory? 49% of all Americans are registered independent, 75% hate Democrats and Republicans, including Biden and Trump. The status quo has caused all of the problems that we see around us. Everything from abandoned towns, decaying industrial properties. We must change. George Washington warned 250 years ago that if we go down the road of party politics, it will end in tribal warfare and nothing will happen. You know, Americans love the underdog. 65% of Americans do not want a politician in the White House. 65 to 70% of Americans want someone in their 50s. Americans want common sense solutions. Highly educated, experienced folks from the trenches. Join Team America. Team America has your back. Go to robertquigleyforpresident.com, donate what you can, and together we will make it work for all of us.
This message is approved and paid for by the Robert Quigley for President campaign.
Howdy, folks. Nobody loves a Guam potluck more than I do. That's why I always bring my world-famous chicken, served any way you like it. Original recipe, extra crispy tenders, Kentucky Fried Wings, and more. Only at KFC Guam. Whoops. Well, it is finger-looking good.
A once-in-a-50-year rain and flooding disaster 3 years ago left a city in southern Japan battered, but not beaten.
Regional correspondent Tomas Manglotny reports on how the people in Hitoyoshi are using lessons learned to build back better.
Residents in Hitoyoshi said that the roaring of the Kuma River made it hard to hear public emergency announcements over the city's loudspeakers in the July 2020 rain disaster that caused major flooding. This led the city to create a new disaster alert lighting system at the Mizunoti Bridge. Torrential rain and heavy flooding destroyed thousands of homes and claimed the lives of at least 77 people. It was the worst flooding in 50 years. Teruki Torigoe manages the city's disaster prevention division. He told us that they've implemented new measures to better communicate warnings, including providing free government radios to each household, sharing information online, and perhaps the most innovative measure, using the Mizunoti Bridge's lights to indicate the river's water levels. Yellow indicates normal water levels, white is a flood warning, and when the lights turn red, it's time to evacuate. The project cost nearly 28 million yen. Today that comes to $186,000. The new system has been welcomed by residents like Kenji Sakoda. He's the chief brewer at Yamatoichi Brewery, which was completely submerged back in 2020.
The climate change and also terrestrial rain, it's really the reality, so this can happen every year, maybe next year even.
They've rebuilt the brewery, which was founded in 1898, relocating their offices to the second floor and purchasing cranes so they can lift and move equipment. And Sakuda has rebuilt his nearby home with the next disaster in mind.
Yes, I think even if we are hit by another one, whatever that is, the damage would be minimum, and I think we are ready to rebuild.
He says he learned many lessons from the flood, including the importance of community. Tomas Maglonia, KUAM News, Hitoyoshi City.
Thanks, Tomas. Well, one woman's rise could inspire many, weaving a tapestry of strength and unity. KUAM has more from the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce conference.
When one woman rises, she uplifts everyone around her. That famous line reigning true for many at the Women Rising Fanatsu Famalawan 2023, presented by the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce. The conference at the Dusitani in Tumon bringing out business owners, entrepreneurs, educators, and more. A handful of these powerhouses sharing which female figures in their lives helped them to be all they are today. GWCC Executive Director Erin Lauder and Marketing Consultant Jennifer McFerrin.
So my mom, was a military spouse but also worked full-time my entire life, and she still is doing that, and just the hard work and dedication of just like kind of witnessing her overcome challenges and stuff of being a prior military spouse, but also, just showing me what it means to just be strong, courageous, and not scared to actually just step out and do what it is that you love and what is your passion.
I have to say my mom as well. So she came to Guam from Vietnam, and she only had like $40 in her pocket. And since then she's like transformed, and she's such a consummate like business person. She's always the person that everybody turns to. So she's such an inspiration to me, and I always take light of that.
For longtime educator and the Guam Department of Education's Teacher of the Year, Colette Bosale, she says she's been equally shaped by both her parents, her mother exemplifying what strength looks like to her.
My father was a railroader, and so my mom was home alone a lot with 3 kids, and she showed me what a strong woman does. And so I just had that as a role model my whole life. So I have confidence thanks to them.
It's an inspiration that has left a lasting impact on these 3 women who are now reaching out their hands to raise up other women.
We're really looking at how we can bring young girls into the tech field, and hopefully today our audience will be able to see the scope of things that people are doing, explore that, and then look at what they can do to help inspire our young women in our community.
One of our big things that we're speaking about here today is fear and just kind of being willing to step out, and I think that that's super important. We all have to support one another and encourage and kind of bring each other out of our shells in order to do that, and that's the only way we can be successful, is if we all stick together and rise.
A message of unity blazing a path forward for women everywhere.
The Making Waves Summit kicking off earlier today at the Central Community Arts Hall in Sinahanya. The Micronesia Climate Change Alliance, in partnership with the Tishman Environment and Design Center at the new school, hosting the summit where dozens of local, regional, and global environmental justice movement leaders gathered for indigenous ceremonies and prayers. Cami Irregula with the Micronesia Climate Change Alliance is one of the 4 women behind the event.
social justice leaders in the region, in the Marianas, in the greater Pacific region. We have invited them here today to share in ceremony and to share their knowledge and their ancestral knowledge, to gather these leaders to make unified decisions against the U.S. military and to make decisions for our greater Pacific region.
All culminating in a prayer of peace Ahmed Walk tomorrow at 9 in the morning at Fort Apugan. We're continuing to slowly creep one day closer to Halloween, so our scary movie nerd Jason, his words again, is back with another batch of recommendations for some truly awesome movies you can check out on Peacock for Fright Fest.
And even though I'm not into scary movies, he's determined to win me over, and you too, with his picks. Well, Jace, what have you got in your queue streaming for us this week?
Fright Fest Fridays on Peacock, brought to you by Pipcorn Snacks. Real ingredients for real moments. Heirloom makes it better.
The gauntlet has been dropped and you guys have spoken. Now I get it, right? Week 1, I tried to give you some old school movies. You got on board with that. Week 2, I gave you the series, but now here we are. Week 3, challenge accepted, right? This is for all you sickos, right? You want straight up gross. Let's go. First, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. If you have not heard what is going on with this, this is exclusively on Peacock. This movie is brutal. The kills in this are absolutely graphic. They're very creative, very inventive, very innovative. For a sneak peek, here's a clip from the trailer.
We used to be friends. Why are you doing this, please? I would have never left, I swear. I swear.
And that quite literally is all I can show you because this movie is so graphic. There's a lot of viscera. There are a ton of jump scares. If you're into that kind of thing, you're really, really gonna like this. All right, second movie, Terrifier, right? Art the Clown is the new Freddy Krueger / Jason / Michael Myers / Leatherface. He is like the new horror icon. You're gonna be on board from this from moment one. It is very, very scary. And again, here's basically all I can show.
Hey, handsome! My friend wants your number.
So check it out. Everybody's talking about the upside down scene. You're going to know what I'm talking about when you watch it. So there you go, my friends. You got some homework this week, a twin pack of films for you to get your shock value fix. Go sign up at peacocktv.com because bonus just added both of Rob Zombie's Halloween films. I'm a big fan. So DM us and let us know what your faves are.
Fright Fest Fridays on Peacock, brought to you by Pipcorn Snacks. Real ingredients for real moments. Heirloom makes it better.
And make sure to check out our Instagram feed at KUAM News for our funny, scary movie bingo card and see how you could win a huge prize of Pipcorn.
And now for a look at your world at home. Here's a view from Asen of the Waves and Camel Rock.
This view plus much more music streaming now on Isla Digital Radio.
Todos hamgi família, sapoma celebra e fiesta. Mangaigi, todos animam gatonta, sapoma ajuda.
There it is. My dad went EV.
It's electric. Don't be shocked.
The guy who's eternally locked out of his email is going EV. Ooh, nice car.
Actually, it's an EV. Rhymes with Kev. Look, EVIP parking.
I get it. You think they don't charge fast enough or go far enough.
Up to 80% charge in 18 minutes. Range? Heck, we could go to Mexico.
Are you Kevin Bacon? But EVs aren't going to stop anything. Look at the Ioniq 6.
Maca mushroom frap for Kevin.
So just make the leap already.
Okay, watch this. Blue or red? Blue light, red light. I can also make it play nature sounds if you want.
Let's just drive.
Introducing the all-electric Hyundai Ioniq 6 with up to 360-mile range. When it comes to EVs, we're thinking of every mile.
to keep the smile on your face, the moments you can't replace, and I'll be around. Whoa, you can count on me. You can count on me for life.
Wherever life takes you, we're always here for you. Calvo's Insurance. Count on us for life.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
Feed Me Fridays is brought to you by Devondale, real milk from free grazing cows.
Howdy day, guys. Welcome to another edition of Feed Me Fridays. So today we have a pepperoni pizza, and you can't forget the garlic butter from Papa John's, and we're gonna spice things up a little bit. We're gonna be eating this with the Scorpion Tabasco. We're gonna test our limit and see how Devondale helps with the heat. But psych, I'm not doing it. I have my friends Reese and Curtis. What's up, guys? Are you guys ready? I'm shaking.
Right?
Oh, okay. Okay, ready? Oh, I can smell it.
Get ready? Cheers.
Oh, has a kick to it.
Actually not bad.
Since we can handle it, let's see how much we can crank it up. 2 dabs of that. Be generous. Oh,
Oh my god.
that was a lot. I won't leave you hanging.
All right.
There you go. There you go. Okay.
Ready?
Cheers. I think we need the help of some milk. Okay. To help us out here.
Okay, that's a bit long.
Oh.
Okay.
Still lingering in my mouth right now.
I may have
But too much?
underestimated this heat.
How's it, guys? Ooh, it's
Good.
pretty good. You know, with my Devondale.
I feel like the Devondale really helped me tolerate this challenge even more. If I didn't have it, I probably would have left.
Okay, guys, so that's it for today's Feed Me Fridays, brought to you by Devondale. Shout out to Reese and Curtis. I'll see y'all next time.
Feed Me Fridays is brought to you by Devondale, real milk from free grazing cows.
All right, and we close out the week and our Think Pink series with more information about mammograms and early detection.
Here's Jonah Concharfis.
Let's Think Pink together, presented by Island Cancer Center, the American Cancer Society, and Crown Plaza Resort Guam. Early detection is the key. A mammogram is the only medical imaging screening test proven to reduce breast cancer deaths. Guam Radiology Consultants Medical Director, Dr. Nathaniel Berg.
Some women don't realize that if we catch breast cancer super early, that's treated in a clinic on an outpatient basis. You can have surgery. Some might require that you go to an outpatient as part of GMH or GRMC, but they don't require hospitalizations. In fact, majority of people who we detect with breast cancer never stay overnight in a hospital. So treatment is not there. A lot of people are afraid of treatment, but early detection can lead to minimal treatment. That's what we're trying to get every woman on Guam to understand, so they can come and every woman is offered treatment at an early stage if we find breast cancer.
Dr. Berg also adds that almost all of the mammograms are normal and that they're just trying to find the few that they can see breast cancer before they feel anything.
The world of medicine has changed in a very positive way over the course of my career as a doctor, and certainly in breast imaging, where we've paid more attention, and perhaps it's because there are now more women involved in radiology, paid more attention to making the procedure more comfortable, so that it's tailored to each individual woman to make it so a mammogram is not painful. It might be a little uncomfortable, but it's not painful. And to also make sure that it's free for everyone. And we're certainly never going to turn anybody away, whether they have an ability to pay for a mammogram. We're always going to accept everybody.
He says those are the two most important things because they want the individual to focus on the positive aspects and have no negatives.
If you do get breast cancer, it becomes what I'd like to say is a speed bump, which is that if we catch it really early, you have to slow down, you get treated, the treatment's not that bad, and you go back to regular life. So we would like to say that if you come in early, you get detected early, you get treated early, and get back to regular life fast. And that technology has changed that we're able to do that.
Jonagan Charfris, KUAM News. Let's Think Pink Together, presented by Island Cancer Center, the American Cancer Society, and Crown Plaza Resort Guam.
And today is also one that we cherish, not just as co-workers, but truly as a family, as it's our annual Think Pink Day here at KUAM.
And here's why we do it and who we do it for.
October 20th is always a day at KUAM with extra special significance and meaning. A decade ago, we created that day as our Think Pink Day in honor of Christy St-Augustine, our longtime HR director, office manager, and account executive, who is a breast cancer survivor and whose initial diagnosis came 10 years ago this year. This Sunday is also Christy's birthday, so we celebrate and we send our love to you. She's our inspiration, truly. Each year, we all wear pink apparel to show our unified support, and Guamanians worldwide have joined us to honor those fighting, those who have beat the disease, and those we have lost. So from here in Harmon, from all of us, for our beloved Christy, and for everyone, the patients, family members, and caregivers who are going through their own unique cancer journeys, this day and these hearts are for you.
All right, now for your Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club shout out submitted on KUAM.com.
And ice cream cake.
All right, everybody, on the 20th of October, happy birthday to Lawrence Flores, coming from Papa George, Grandma Mary, your siblings, cousins, and godson Rowan, and they all say enthusiastically, we love you. Happy birthday to Joe St-Augustine. Happy birthday, blessings, Papa, a member of our extended family here at KUAM. Love, Aria Ray, and the whole familia, including us. Joe, you're one of the best guys we know, and we hope you have a day as fantastic as you, brother. Benjamin De Plata, a new start and never to part. Happy Bees Day, and hurry and get to me. This is a very, very wonderful shout out. Georgette Ray Garrido, I want to wish her a happy birthday from Sergio, Talia, and Tobias. We love you and wish you many more birthdays to come. Happy birthday, your shout out says. And we have a Cold Stone Creamery ice cream cake to give away, and this week's winner, I remember wishing happy birthday to Eleanor Akaninuk, and Eleanor, we get to do it again because you are the now proud owner of a cake, and we hope you enjoy it, and we hope you share with people you care about. Happy birthday to one and all. This is your News Bites report on this Think Pink Friday. You saw the story, why we did it. We very much wear pink proudly. Support the GCC Cosmetology Program. Speaking of proud support, they are having a car wash so that they continue their very fine work. These are makeup artists, these are hairdressers, these are stylists. These are amazing members of our community, and they want to wash your car. Yeah, they do that too, from 9 to 2 on October the 22nd. Tickets only $5 until today, so make sure to get your tickets soon. On Saturday, over at Fortapugan in Agana Heights, beautiful view of downtown and of the bay, they are doing a Amit Walk. So please make sure to check it out. They are literally building a path towards healing and unity throughout our region, 9 a.m. showtime. From now until November 17th, up in Saipan, the CNMI Women's Affairs Network is having a Women's Workwear Drive. Please make sure to check that out. It is happening at the office on Capitol Hill. It is a Instagram meetup. Back to you, Nick and Destiny, with the rest of the show.
Thanks, Jace. That's your primetime show. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Nick Delgado.
And I'm Destiny Cruz. Stay beautiful and have a safe weekend.
KUAM News Hotspot is presented by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Hello everyone, and welcome again to The Hub. I'm Nestor Lecanto. Our guests this week are Dr. Annette David, who is with the Guam State Epidemiologist Office, and also a former member of the World Health Organization. We also have Jim Gillen, who is the former director of the Department of Public Health and was the chairperson for a regional committee meeting, a recent one in 2015 of the World Health Organization. Thanks for joining us. We brought you here to talk about a news release that you put out, in particular, Jim, and one of the statements that kind of just leaped out at me is that you said, in the race for the regional director of the WHO in the Western Pacific, which may seem innocuous, the stakes are high with deep implications for global health security. And he goes on to say, if alignments go awry and the split in the Pacific vote does not benefit the Pacific, the final vote may go to the most inexperienced candidate, who is from China. All right, so a lot of mouthful there. Could you kind of just give us an overview of that?
Well, you know, I really don't know the person from China. All of the other candidates I know, I've worked with, but this person I don't know. All I know is that she really doesn't bring the experience that you need with working in an organization as kind of bureaucratic as WHO is. And it's her only experience that I know that she has is with maternal and child health.
Sure.
You need a broader perspective when you're dealing with this part of the world. You know, we're talking about almost 2 billion people. Okay? And of that, only about 213 million are Pacific Islanders. So you know, they're already, the bigs and the smalls are already there. And the influence that a lot of the larger countries have on these Pacific Islands can't be ignored, because they provide grants, they provide consultation, they provide technical skills to people, training, and it's very difficult for the Pacific Island nations and territories to get a focus on what's particularly concerns them. There's a big push in WHO, and has been for the last, I don't know, 20 years of trying to arrive at some kind of universal health care. That implies kind of like you're going to provide the same thing for everybody across the board. And you have to realize that just doesn't fit, especially in the Pacific Island settings. It just doesn't make any sense.
One size not fit all.
It can't, but they keep kind of pushing it. And I'm not sure why it is, whether it's pride, the investment over time, and other things. But we really need to get somebody who can drive that drive the Western Pacific office, that has a perspective on how that doesn't really work, how it doesn't match up with a lot of. I mean, you could take a place like the Solomons, 700 and some odd different islands, almost the same number of dialects, and trying to deliver healthcare in those settings compared to what it takes to do it in Australia. It's just two completely different perspectives.
Yeah.
And if we don't get the right leadership at that regional office level, we're going to be still back to the same thing again. And Pacific Island countries and territories are going to be played off. They're going to respond to who's the biggest grantor, some are already aligned with Australia and New Zealand, some kind of getting aligned with China. And it's a lot of it, is because of what they can bring to them that they need.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not from my standpoint, not really a sincere effort to make them sort of independent in the delivery of their healthcare services, addressing the real unique problems that present themselves in the Pacific Islands. So you really need somebody who really understands how that whole dynamic works.
Yeah. Dr. David, let's step back first. So as I understand it, the selection of this person to hold this position is coming up. First of all, explain what that position entails, and why is it, and who it is that the Guam representatives are supporting.
Well, this position is the regional director for the Western Pacific region of WHO. WHO has 6 regions. Each one is led by a regional director. And this is a position that is very critical for the region, because it really has the equivalency of an ambassadorship. This is almost like a person who is the ambassador, who has entry into all the public health networks within the region. And I was just going to say, I was thinking as Jim was speaking, public health never occurs in a vacuum, Nestor. The geopolitics is always a big contextual factor that affects public health. And so it's very important that you have in a region today, you know how fluid the political situation is today. And it's important to have an experienced leader who can bridge both Asia and the Pacific as the public health leader for the region.
Yeah, and so the person that Guam is supporting at this point is Dr. Susan Mercado?
That's right.
Tell me more about her.
Dr. Susan Mercado used to be the director for the Non-Communicable Disease Division in WHO, and she was really the first director who brought resources to the North Pacific. So you'll remember a few years ago, we had a very active WHO presence and support for Guam's NCD programs, diabetes programs, cancer prevention. And Jim remembers because he was director at public health at that time. Before that, the North Pacific was pretty much left to itself. The assumption being that the US CDC was taking care of us anyway. But it's important for us to be part of WHO's network. We are a significant and strategic part of the Western Pacific, and she was the one who really brought this to play. Dr. Mercado has also been head of the Red Cross and is an advisor to the Red Cross Society, was very active during the regional COVID response, and until recently was part of the Public Health Institute in Hawaii, taking care of food security. She has an extensive background in health communications, in many leadership positions in different program areas. And in fact, was even team leader for environmental and urban health at the WHO Kobe Center several years ago in Japan.
Yeah, and Jim, as a former director of public health, as we mentioned earlier, and working with Dr. Mercado in the past, you think it's important for her to be in this position as well?
Absolutely. You know, she, again, with my relationship with her at the regional committee meeting that we had here in 2015, she's organized, she's very knowledgeable. She is very sympathetic to the kinds of challenges we have in this part of the world. Now, we have an organization called the Pacific Island Health Officers Association, which includes the three U.S. territories and the three countries that are also associated with the United States. So that's the Marshalls, Palau, and FSM, and then American Samoa, Guam, and CNMI. Even though we have that organization, we still, you know, don't get the attention we think we need to get. Sometimes when we deal with our colleagues, like in the Secretariat for the Pacific Community, they assume that because we're associated with the United States, that we have a lot of money. So a lot of the programs that may be available to some of the other Pacific Island nations don't get channeled to us. And they don't realize that just simply being associated or affiliated doesn't mean that we have everything. As a matter of fact, we know that the FSM, the countries that are in the Pacific Island Health Officers Association have limited resources from federal grants and federal programs. We're a little bit better off because we're more tightly associated with the United States, but still, there's that feeling that, oh, well, you guys don't really need anything. You don't really need to collaborate with us down in the South Pacific because you have your own thing. But we started to work a very regional approach, at least when I was at Public Health. And we had the Secretariat for the Pacific Commission, we had WHO, and we had CDC in Atlanta working training programs across all of these countries, not just the American affiliated countries. And that's the kind of thing we want to build. And that's the kind of thing that Susie, okay, I'll call her Susie, I won't call her Dr. Susie. She, you know, she gets it. She understands. And she sees how a lot of the Pacific Island countries and territories kind of get played by the big powers. And, you know, you got China, you got Korea, you got Australia, New Zealand, you know. And
sure.
They're granting some monies, and Chinese more than others, but that's an obvious, you know, why they're doing that. But she sees that we're not getting the kind of attention that WHO can provide. And like I say, some kind of a presence in the north and part of this Pacific would really be a boon, and she agrees.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to having her elect you.
And
Dr.
on a bigger level too, you need someone who can mobilize all the countries in the region and unite everyone, who has that vision, that forward-looking vision that can bring us through whatever other health emergencies may arise. I think if there's one thing that COVID should have taught all of us, it's that we as a community, as a regional community, are only as strong as the weakest link in that network of countries. And so any country, any island that is left behind opens potentially a pathway for vulnerability for the next pandemic. So it's important to have someone who's very inclusive, who's very experienced and personable and able to bring everyone together at the table.
Yeah, and explain how the election process works. And you, Jim, we're trying to get all of the 5 North Pacific areas together. How does that work, and to help ensure that she'll get the votes needed?
The elections will happen tomorrow, as I understand it. They are holding the regional committee meeting right now in Manila. Every member state has a vote. Now, having said that, Guam, CNMI, and American Samoa are not member states. We are territories under the U.S., so the U.S. votes for us. But the other Pacific islands each have a vote, and all the other countries have 1 vote each.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the implications for Guam if we get the right person selected as you two are proposing. We'll be right back.
While you've been waiting to see if EVs are a thing, my dad went electric.
Up to 360 miles on a single charge.
And if my dad's on board, yours could be next.
You know I'm doing this for the next generation.
Dad, we are not having the grandkids conversation again.
No, I'm just saying EVs are good for any generation. Or all generations. Generationally good.
Introducing the all-electric Hyundai Ioniq 6 with up to 360-mile range. When it comes to EVs, we're thinking of every mile.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We're talking with Dr. Annette David and Jim Gillen about the upcoming selection of the WHO regional representative, I guess. And, you both believe this to be very important, having the right person in there for Guam. And the Guam nominee is Dr. Suzanne Mercado from the Philippines. What are the implications? Can you give us some of the implications if she is, in place as opposed to someone else who may not be as familiar with our area? And let's start with you, Jim.
Well, I know for sure that she's going to start a dialogue with this part of the Pacific for if there is a WHO office presence, where would it be? And that's always a problem, because I want it here, I want it in Pohnpei, I want it here. We'll have to work out that, and probably it's going to be a place that has, good communication systems and other things that that would work well for everybody. Because with this part of the world, we're out there, out to American Samoa, and then we're over to Palau, and it's a big chunk, and try to get that to work. And Susie, with her skill, she can talk people into doing almost anything. She really is a great collaborator. She's a very erudite. And she's talking from experience. She's not just making things up. She's very serious about what she wants to have happen out in this part of the Pacific. So, selfishly, even if not selfishly, I would have endorsed her anyway, because she's just a absolutely competent, compassionate person. And she's in the right place to have this job.
And Dr. David, what are some of the key priorities, the top priorities that you would seek from her should she get the position?
Well, I think very clearly for us, the non-communicable disease epidemic and how that's linked to some of the key risk factors that remain quite significant for Guam would be one thing. I think from a health systems perspective, and I'm sure, Jim has mentioned this, how do we get to a point where we have at least a minimum set of health services for every person, regardless of whether they have private insurance or not? I think that's key, the universal health coverage, because again, as COVID taught us, it's the ones who are outside of the health system who have the biggest vulnerability, but also pose the biggest risk to the greater community. So it's important to make sure everyone has that sort of coverage. Very importantly, for the Pacific and many parts of Asia, it's also the health resource planning. We know that there is a shortage of physicians, of nurses, of other health professionals. We've felt it here in Guam, but you can imagine the repercussions in a smaller country. For instance, a remote Pacific Island country that didn't have any doctors or not enough nurses and midwives. So I think that sort of health resource planning for the future is also going to be very important.
Yeah, Jim, you mentioned, you guys both mentioned universal health coverage. I wanted to kind of get into that a little bit more. Can you explain what your particular vision or perception is of universal health care coverage and how that might, be implemented or workable on Guam?
But, from a public health standpoint, preventive services, that minimum set of services that everybody should have access to, that have immediate effects on their chronic disease issues, have immediate effect on some of the neglected tropical diseases that we're still faced with in this whole region. So that having people be able to get those basic, big payoff at the end kinds of services without worrying about whether they have the $2 in their pocket or whatever. That should just be. It's like some countries have legislated an essential list of medicine that a government program has to have, and it's cut right into the legislation. You have to have this every year. You make those kinds of commitments, so there's not this business about running around, we're short of this, we're out of this. But, making sure that all of those essential medicines, all of those essential health services are available, so that the family of 6 or so doesn't have to worry about where they're going to get out of the household income. And when you look at the diversity in this whole region of the percentage of their gross domestic product that some countries spend on healthcare, and then the return on that sometimes is not so obvious. You don't see, why are you spending 12% of your gross domestic product? And some that are spending 3% seem to be doing better in some things. So it's really organization, how you get people through the services, how you get services to the people. And again, instead of going all over the place with the kinds of services, we really have to get the countries and the islands and the territories to agree what are the essential things. And it may not be a cookie cutter. Not everyone will have the same set of services available, but there should be a set of basic essential services that each country or territory agrees to.
But how do we fund that, and who's going to pay for that?
That is a good question. And in fact, there are real life examples throughout the region. Nestor, you mentioned that you live part of the time in the Philippines, right? Let me ask you, are you a senior?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so all seniors in the Philippines have universal health coverage through the sin tax revenues. So what the Philippines did is one model where they tax tobacco and alcohol, and they dedicate a portion of those tax revenues to pay for health care for the poor. They started out with the poor, and then recently they added seniors. So if you're a senior citizen, 60 years and older in the Philippines, you can avail of this. If you get sick, you can go to a government hospital. You can get preventive services for free. And it's paid for through tax revenues. There are other models. Mongolia, for instance, has a health promotion foundation. In Korea, they have a similar foundation that is funded through a certain percentage of people's revenue, the working people. So there's models of doing this, but there are good examples already that exist. It is an issue of equity. It's a social justice issue, but I think also importantly, ensuring that every citizen has coverage for health services is a development issue. And people will say, why? Well, how can you have progress, socioeconomic progress, if you have sick people? You need a healthy workforce. You need kids who are healthy because they're the ones who are going to grow up to be the ones providing labor and the ones production, providing the production force of a country. So in the end, this is really an investment in our social development.
Okay, we got to take one more break. We'll be back with more of The Hub and Dr. Annette David and Jim Gillen right after this.
Honey, do you want some milk?
Do you ever wonder how your favorite products make their way into your local stores? Most arrive on state-of-the-art Matson vessels that transport containers of food, household items, equipment, and supplies into the islands every week. Because we know that you depend on us, we work closely with our partners to ensure that our shipments arrive on time, all the time, so you can find your favorite products when you need them. We transport the region's most precious cargo that supports successful businesses and promotes a better quality of life for our families. Matson is proud to have been the hometown shipping carrier for Guam, the CNMI, and Micronesia for the past 25 years, and you can count on us to be here for generations to come.
Want a real taste of New York? The classic New York-style pizza offers a big, bold taste that's a Guam favorite. Handmade to perfection on a crust that's 30% larger than our large. It's just $11.99 for carry-out. Classic New York-style pizza, only at your island Pizza Hut.
All right, we are back with the Hub. We've got a few minutes left, and you know, this universal health coverage is a very, of course, interesting topic. It's come up in the past. You know, how we fund it is, I think, the biggest hurdle. But I wanted to get your thoughts, since I got you both here, and you both are public health professionals, medical professionals. GMH just recently received $50 million from the legislature to, first of all, catch up on its fiscal responsibilities, the vendor payables, and also $20 million for the deteriorating plant that we know as GMH. And I wonder what your thoughts are on, you know, rescuing the current facility that we have that's rapidly deteriorating and the construction of a new hospital. Start with you, Dr. David.
I personally agree with the governor. We need a new hospital. Band-aid solutions are not going to work. And we already know that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has assessed that renovating or trying to rescue the current building is not going to be cost-effective. So I do think we need to invest in a new facility that will care for our people.
Yeah. I think that, there isn't a question. They need to have these costs taken care of. So they need the $30 million to get whole with the vendors, and the $20 million, it's got to be spent just to bring that facility up to a reasonable level of acceptable environment, I guess. You know, because you're not going to build a new hospital overnight, so you have to continue working in this thing, and you have to spend the money to do it. And I think, but the other side of that, sometimes the message is you're rewarding people for not doing what they're supposed to do. But that, right now, you just make the statement to everybody, yeah, we're doing that, but we're talking about patient care, we're talking about patients, we're talking about reasonable working environments for these people who have gone through how many years of COVID and all of the stress related to that, and then having to work in a facility that's falling apart. You know, you've got to be able to take care of that, and you also have to start looking at where the problems are. Why weren't they collecting what they were supposed to collect? Why are they contracting with people who say, we're going to do this for you, and it doesn't get done? You know, there's a lot of these things that I have problems with, and I think there are ways to make this thing work until a new facility is built. But that's, you know, I'm 77. I don't think I'm going to see it, but you know, they've got to build one. Now, whether it's a campus is another matter, but the focus is definitely on a new hospital. If the mental health facility, if Gatwick needs to expand, they could expand into the space that the current GMH is in and do it that way, rather than, in my opinion, rather than have a medical campus. There's a public health and social services building also, in addition to a lab that's supposed to be built. I'm not sure, I'm not convinced that they all have to be in the same location. It sounds good, you know, one stop, and you just go get all your stuff done. But it's causing a lot of problems, you know, as we can agree. But right now, I support the $50 million. It has to be spent.
I know we've started with a narrow discussion of the WHO representative and why that would be beneficial to Guam with the selection of the Manila and the Guam choice. But from just to wind this up on a broader discussion, would universal health coverage be some kind of resolution to what GMH's problems are? And where do we stand right now in terms of our overall medical coverage on Guam and the state of the medical profession on Guam?
Hospital care is just a small part of universal health coverage. I think very importantly, we need to think about how we prevent disease. How do we make sure that people don't need to go to the hospital? And so a lot of the investments, I think, have to go to that end, the downstream causes of disease, so that we can avoid being in this situation that we're in now, which is that so many people need inpatient care. So universal health coverage would include preventive care as well, and health promotion, things that ensure that people make the healthy lifestyle choices to ensure that they stay healthy long into retirement, in their 80s or 90s. That's a small part of it.
Yeah, real quickly, Jim, a couple of minutes left. Your thoughts on the medical
I think we need to show the people who put the money up, legislature, businesses, and what the return on investment is if you do invest heavily in preventive health care, if you try to draw more income and revenue for this program by other sin taxes, but we're already getting pretty maxed out on tobacco, but maybe alcohol and some of these other things. But when you show, and we've been able to demonstrate that just putting fluoride in the water, was like a $75 return on a dollar investment. It was a huge, but then you have fluoride, you're going to poison it. But, and how do we do it? Well, I don't know how to do it. I just brought it up, and somebody said, well, we don't know how. Find people who know how to do it. And if we can get a commitment that we can demonstrate that X patient didn't get hospitalized and what that would have cost, and the money for that saving goes into the preventive health program rather than being spent on some other superfluous kind of stuff. So, we have to get commitment. Everybody moans and groans about the fact that people are ill and the hospital's in bad shape and this and that, but nobody wants to make a commitment. It's a hard one, to really come up with the bucks to do this and come up with the programs that is proven already. We don't need to. When the United States of America spends, the total spend on healthcare, total now, it's like $36 trillion, like national debt every year. Even a 2% increase in the cost related to that, it's incredible. And where does the United States stand in terms of maternal and child health care, infant mortality, chronic diseases, and they're spending all of this money for no return.
Yeah, sure. More money spent on preventative health care as opposed to building new dialysis centers on Guam, which we have too many. All right.
Senator Rodriguez tried to put something together like a health insurance plan, but it was a very complicated and complex, hard to understand, and I think that's why he had difficulty getting it.
Might need to be. We're out of time.
I was just going to say, making these hard decisions for complex issues requires experienced leadership, which brings us right back to the issue that we're here for.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much. Great discussion. Dr. Annette David and Jim Gillen. I'm Nestor Lecanto. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you again next week on The Hub.